Hello everybody and welcome to the video notes for Unit 2, Day 9. Today is just a short review of what we learned yesterday because based off of what I saw in class and in exit tickets, we just need a little bit more practice. So we're adding and subtracting decimals, and for this first part, this might look familiar. We're looking at fractions and then writing out what those fractions are in words and then writing it as a decimal. So for example, 3/10, we can write that as 3/10, just like this. And this is the tenths place, the first number after the decimal, so that's going to be 0.3. From what you remember yesterday, I want you to first now pause and finish as much of part 1 as you can on your own. Remember that if the denominator is not out of 100, or out of 10, you might need to multiply the fraction so that it is out of 100. Then it's easier to write as a decimal. So let's pause, try part 1 on your own. Do that right now. And now you are resuming the video after you have done as much of part 1 as you can. Right? If you're just watching the video to copy me without trying on your own, that's not really learning. Okay, 4 hundredths, that's what we have here, 4 hundredths. The hundredths place is the second number after the decimal, so that's 0.04. Here we have 77 hundredths. 77 hundredths. And that's that's going to go out to the second place again. The second one after the decimal, so 0.77. Here we have 2/5. 2/5. And to make this out of 100, we can multiply the numerator and the denominator by 20. Because 5 times 20 is 100, so 2 times 20 is 40. So 2/5 is the same thing as 40 hundredths, which would be 0.40, 40 hundredths, which is the same thing as 0.4. And then here, 0.8, this is in the tenths place, so that means we have 8/10. And you might have simplified this by dividing both numbers by 2, which would have given you 4/5. So either of those answers is correct, and we have 8/10. All right. So if you got all 1, 2, 3, 4 of those correct, 4 gold coins for you. And now let's move on to part 2. The way we're going to do part 2 is you're going to try one problem on your own, then we're going to check it. Then you try the next problem, then we check it. So part 1, right, we have 13 2/10 plus 412 and 54 hundredths. Turn each of these into a decimal and then add it. So a pause. Try number 1 on your own. Do that right now. Doing number 1. And now you are continuing the video after you have tried number 1 on your own. So as I'm walking around, I should see that you have tried this before you're resuming the video. 13 2/10. So that's going to be 13 and then 2 in the tenths place. So there. And then 412. So let's write the 412 in first. And remember, we want to line up the decimal. Always keep the decimals lined up. 412, that's here. And then 54 hundredths, which means we're going to go all the way out to the hundredths place. 54, just like that. Then we can add it up. We can put in zeros in these blank spaces. 0 plus 4 is 4. 2 plus 5 is 7. Bring down this decimal. 3 plus 2 is 5. 1 plus 1 is 2. And 4. 425.74 is our answer. If you got that right, give yourself a check and a gold coin. Now let's take a look at number 2. Notice in number 2 we have 32 3/4. Okay, so since it's out of 4 here, we might need to change that fraction so it's out of 100, so we can put it into a decimal. and then 12 and 1/2, same thing, or you might already know in your head what 1/2 is as a decimal. So convert those into a decimal and then subtract. Let's pause and try number 2 on our own. So pausing, and let's do number 2. And now you've tried number 2 on your own, and you are resuming the video after you've done that. Let's take a look. 32 and 3/4. So let's first do 3/4. If I want to write that as a decimal, I can think to myself, what is that out of 100? Well, 4 times 25 gets me to 100. So 3 times 25, right? That's like, if I have 3/4, how many cents do I have? 75. So that's going to be 32.75 minus, right? Always keep the decimal lined up. 12 and a half. So here's the 12. And then for the 1/2 part, if you might know that in your head. If you need to work it out, you can think 1/2 is equal to what out of 100? I know it's going to be at 50 out of 100. Right? 1/2 of 100 is 50. So 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5. Or you can add the 0 there, and then let's subtract. 5 minus 0 is 5. 7 minus 5 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. 3 minus 1 is 2. 20.25. If you got that, put a check. And here's your gold coin. Ooh, 2 gold coins. Okay, moving on. Number 3. So for number 3, what I want you to do is read the problem closely. Think to yourself, in this situation, are we adding these 2 numbers, or maybe I need to subtract these 2 numbers? It's one of those. So read it, and then let's solve it on your own first. So pause and do that. And now you're resuming the video after you've tried it on your own. 2 dogs are placed on a scale and together they weigh 75 and 2/100 pounds. If one dog weighs 31 and 4/25, oops, not pictures, pounds, typo. How much does the other dog weigh? That's what it's asking us to find. So altogether, the total is 75 pounds, and then one weighs this, so to get the other, we have to subtract what one weighs from the total. 75 and 21/100, so that's going to be 75.21. And 31, so minus 31, line up the decimal, 4/25 on the side here. Let's figure out what 4/25 is as a decimal. Well, out of 100, 25 times 4 gets me to 100. So 4 times 4 is going to give me 16. So it's 0.16. Then I can subtract here. 1 minus 6, okay, I'm going to need to borrow from here, bring the 1 over. 11 minus 6 is 5. 1 minus 1 is 0, bring the decimal down. 5 minus 1 is 4. 7 minus 3 is 4. So one dog weighs 44.05 pounds. All right, if you got that on your own, 2 gold coins. Let's take a look at the last one. Almost there. Let's read it together. Mr. Ramon is going on a road trip. On the first day, he travels 313 and 9/10 miles. Okay, it's a math clue. Let's underline it. And the second day, he travels 289 and 3/4 miles. Okay, let's underline it. That's another math clue. How far has Mr. Ramon traveled after the second day? Let's double underline what it's asking us to find. How far has Mr. Ramon traveled after the second day? We're going to have a little bit of background noise. Got the vacuum going. Sorry about that. We're just going to finish up here. So, go ahead and pause the video. Figure out if this is asking you to add or subtract, and then try this on your own. Okay, resuming after you've tried on your own. We're going to add for this one 313, and then 9/10 miles is 313.9. Plus 289 and 3/4, so that's 289 3/4. Okay, so 3/4 is equal to 75 out of 100. So 289.75. Add this up. 5 goes here. And 6. 1, 2, 1, 0, 1, and 6. So 603.65 miles is how far he's traveled. Alright. Your next task that I want you to do is, first, keep your computer at your desk. Please keep your computer at your desk. And then I want you to follow the instructions on page 3. Turn it over and follow the instructions on page 3.